You are now entering Maximum Driftcast, the only drifting podcast hosted by a Spanish soccer mom, a 30-year-old silver-haired fox going on 60, and finally, a 200-pound bowl of spaghetti with chimichanga arms.
The champions, we are the champions.
All right, so Sam, we're going to start this off a little bit differently. You okay with that?
Yeah.
Do you want to take it from the top, or do you want me to take it from the top?
You take it from the top.
All right, man, let me start with the song, dude. I want to rap all night, rap a little nude. I'm going to sing a little song about all my friends. We do drift things every single day. Now you, Sam.
Hey, Corey, that's really cool. Thanks for starting this rap school. Here's a beat I'm going to drop for you. Chelsea Denofa is a dumb old fool.
Ooh. Oh, dude.
What you got, dog? That's a diss.
Chelsea, it's your turn now.
All right.
Oh, it's my turn.
Yeah, that was a
Yeah.
pass.
I'm fully not prepared for this.
Yeah,
Come on,
you
dude,
know, I don't know if you
can
know
flow.
this.
Paco, keep the beat going.
All right.
Oh my gosh.
So
Don't look at girl Chelsea.
don't
Girl
look
Chelsea
at your
can't help
girlfriend.
you.
She's not going to write something for you real quick.
You got to do it.
I'm like literally in the middle of posting that I'm on here.
Okay, well, just
All right.
rap about that. Rap about that.
He wasn't ready.
Yeah.
That's
So-
the
I
beauty
was
of
already.
that's the beauty of flowing, Chelsea.
Yeah.
You can
I
just
literally
flow
wasn't even
about.
listening to you guys in the beginning
See-
because I was like, oh,
Yeah.
Sam's like, shh, don't talk.
That's
because
because I didn't want you to talk. God,
Yeah,
is it always this difficult
well,
with you?
Sam, that's the thing is, you know, that's the difference between a true artist and not. You know, we can just
Yeah.
flow right off
Yeah.
whenever.
Not to mention, Chelsea's revealing all our trade secrets.
Yeah.
Like he's
know.
telling everything that's going on behind the scenes. Like, Jesus.
Corey, do you want to? Corey, do you want to start up?
Should we just like restart the whole thing?
No, I'd say let's just do another rap once Chelsea's ready for it.
Okay, I'll do another rap. Hey guys, welcome to the show. Let me tell you something that I did on my toe. We went to St. Louis with my boys. It was really cool because we rode a lot of toys. It rained real hard. It was really tiny stormy. It's okay because it's not little corny. Sam, you're the man with the plan. Take the rap from the top like you just don't care.
Great ending to the rap. You seem to know where it's at. We were at St. Louis. The Louis, you better believe there was no kung fu except for karate. With Chelsea's runs, he was throwing in backwards, had lots of fun. Except he went too hard like usual and didn't end up on the top spot in the podium, which is unfortunate for Chelsea. But he's really cool, and he's about to drop raps like a fool. Go Chelsea.
I mean, we're on the Maximum Driftcast. Hopefully I can talk enough to make it last.
Oh,
We got Corey trying to put me on blast.
Oh! No, he didn't.
goodness.
What's your ending
that's
punchline?
right,
Ending
guys.
punchline, come on!
Come on,
Finish him.
Wrap it up.
Come on, finish him. Fatality.
Don't be a fool. Wrap it up quick. Go to school. The drift school.
God.
That's my G.
Dude, it just
Serve.
it just took a minute to get you fired up, but once you got
Yeah,
it going,
see?
dude, we couldn't stop you.
Oh man.
Jeez.
The best. The
Man.
beat is so delayed. I'm just like,
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah,
we'll
no,
go
it's,
for it.
I didn't realize he's actually an artist. I thought he was bullshitting
Yeah.
us.
What if
Oh,
now
no.
he can't stop rap for the rest of the season?
Well, at least you know
There you
he'll be
go.
ready. You'll be ready.
I thought I heard from someone that you're good at flowing on the rap trains, Denofa.
Yeah, I'm pretty all right. I can be.
I guess that was pretty all right.
I guess.
Good
So-
job, guys. Good job. Welcome to Maximum Rapcast.
Welcome, Malcolm Rapcast.
Malcolm Rapcast. That's our name as a group.
And Chelsea, we hadn't spoken to you in a little bit. Lots has changed in your life. You're a father now. You
Yep.
you got a father. You're the dad of a beautiful little drift school, beautiful
Yep.
baby drift school.
Yep.
And we asked you to be on the show because you, in our minds and hearts, were the all-star of Formula Drift St. Louis because you
You won it.
threw down, dude. You threw down. We appreciate
Appreciate
people that throw it.
Thank
And
I definitely threw it quite a few times.
you did.
Especially in top four. I just threw it out. Lost it.
So we're going to talk all about that, no doubt. But you've been throwing it harder and harder this season. Oftentimes too hard, as we've discussed in the past, Chelsea. You know, you turn up to 11 as your tattoo on your back says. Can you show us the tattoo? That's kind of a tradition on the show.
it is a tradition now.
Honestly, I don't know if I can because I'm in a truck right now. But here,
Really?
I'll text you a photo of it. You can put it up that way.
Deal.
All right.
Deal.
Might have a photo of it.
Can we see you go through the photos in your phone?
Probably not.
I would just point them at the camera and let's just see
You
what's on your
probably
phone.
can.
Yeah.
All right, see it. Let's roll this dice.
Oh boy.
There's you guys.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh, hi.
Can you see?
Feedback.
It's too
a little
dark.
bit.
Yeah.
It's a little
That's,
bit.
that's a good
There you go.
shot. That's a great
Hey.
shot.
That's a good photo.
Detour.
Piotr.
Piotr. Okay, so let's.
And then there's the Instagram post because you said I didn't post anything.
Yeah, and I called you a jamoke, and you did not like that.
Oh no, you didn't.
I
Oh,
don't
it's
know
good.
what else is going to be on here.
I like this.
Dent.
Uh-oh.
That's a whiskey dent of
I
a
like this
footprint.
game.
Dent. With
Charge your
low
phone.
battery.
Jeez.
Yep.
Low
You're,
battery.
Typical iPhone user, man.
While you're looking for that tattoo photo, it's not critical, but I just want to bring up at FD my first favorite moment was Chelsea's ridiculous run for fourth. Second favorite is probably when was it FD's video or someone when they're talking to people who they asked the drivers what their theme song was or what song to like listen to get them pumped up, and then they're talking to Peter and James. And Peter's response was, "I don't think about the song. I think about James."
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was good.
They're
I
my
was laughing
favorite.
at that.
They're my favorite celebrity couple.
Yeah. They're cute.
They're
Boys.
pretty good.
I love those little guys.
Pretty good. I've been like doing interviews and stuff, and they'll walk up, and I'll try to get them involved with the interview, and they're always like, "No, you got it. You're really good at this. Like, you just do it." I'm like, "No, like you're missing the fun here." Like, "No, you guys got it. Chelsea can talk enough shit for everybody."
Absolutely. Yeah. So you're doing more vloggy style stuff. How's that been going for you?
I just feel like YouTube is like part of our social network now.
Yep.
So I'm kind of doing it to hold that space there and bring some content to people. You know, just like more of my outside of RTR type deal and outside of Instagram and whatnot, just what I'm doing and how I'm staying busy.
And has that been successful? How long have you been doing it? How often do you post?
It's been successful with my How to Drift stuff. I've been doing that for like 2 years now.
Yeah.
It's been really good with that stuff, but outside of the vlogging has been kind of hit or miss. YouTube's always changing their algorithm, so
Yeah, I actually it's
trying
funny.
to stay on it.
I was thinking of what you were doing, and I tried to watch a couple of like the popular drift vloggers videos today, and I literally can't make it through more than like 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah.
It's rough, but they get like 300,000 views in a few hours, and it's like I can't just listen to them talk, and it really makes me feel bad with the highly produced videos that I make, that are usually commercial pieces that we're paid to make and all that, but it's like, man, so much work and effort goes into these 6 shots and camera rentals and track rentals and whatever you want to call it, and it's like this dude just talks unbroken in front of a camera about
An
his
iPhone, not even camera.
but also it's not about the views, it's of course it feels good to have like 100,000 view count, but making something that you're proud of and rewarding. And I'm not saying that those videos that they're making shouldn't be something that's a source of pride, but it's like, the views aren't everything.
What Chelsea doesn't know is that he's like the PewDiePie of the drifting world. So his followers are mostly 9-year-olds.
Yeah,
That's what he's going for.
Yeah,
whatever, man.
that's your demographic.
That's the demo.
Whoever's enjoying it, that's all that matters.
Yep.
No, I mean you've got a consistent following and all that, but I guess let's start with Formula Drift. So this is a new track for everyone. We'll definitely talk about Corey's role because Corey was doing some new stuff there as well. It's a lot of firsts. How are you feeling when you first got to the track?
I felt good. I mean, I had driven the track like 12 years ago in a Miata with like 230 horsepower.
Yeah.
And I was able to link the track. So I was like, I know I'm at least going to be able to link the track. The rest of it, I don't really know anything about. And when I got there, I'm like, this is way bigger than I even remember. But of course, back then I was getting probably 14 laps out of a set of tires. And then here we were struggling to get like 1.5. So it was definitely interesting. Big difference.
The track was burning up tires and destroying cars, and like it just seemed aggressive as hell.
Yeah, it was super aggressive. I mean, it was initiate and then flat, foot to the floor for the next, 300-400 feet, even longer, probably half the track you were to the floor, and then you take a quick breather and then bam, back on the throttle for half the lap.
A lot of people were comparing that track to Texas. Would you say it was pretty similar in the driver's seat?
Yeah, it was like a backwards Texas. Like we ran it back in the day where you went into the S turn first.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was pretty similar to that. But the track was actually like quite a bit different. Like the first 2 turns were much tighter than Texas, and then the last turn was much bigger than Texas. So it was a little bit different. Same type of setup in the car, but
And what inspired you? So I like what Jared said is, you got your first qualifying run in the books, and then you thought you'd do one for the boys. Is that what the actual thing that went through your head? You're like, fuck it, like I'm just gonna throw down. Like, were you trying to were you trying to while out, as they say in St. Louis, or were you just accidentally going backwards there?
Yeah, no, I mean, the first lap I went out and got a 91. It locked me in, got me good points. So it was like, all right, we can turn up and go crazy because we know we're top 10 with our first hit. So in the second time, I was like, I'm going to throw it in backwards, first turn, drive through, and then do a big flick into inner 3 and see what happens kind of thing. But I ended up running over the inner clip at inner clip 1, like center punched it. So I was like, well, now I'm really hucking it backwards to try to make up for it. I knew I'd already lost the points that I was going to get in order to beat my 91. So I did it for me and the fans and the crew and everything, and showing the confidence that we have in the car.
Yeah, and that, I imagine that's kind of what was recreated in your run against Matt, in that you kind of plowed over, or you were kind of off mark the first quarter or two, and then rather than a reverse initiation, it was a reverse transition. I don't know what to call it, but I was standing on the ground in like the kind of driver spectator area there at that corner with 100 or so people, and when you came into that final long sweeping corner literally backwards, everyone was losing their mind and screaming. And I've seen videos of people in the stands also losing their shit at that. So yeah, I like your attitude where it's like, if I've made one minor mistake, I might as well just go full.
Well, maybe not one minor mistake, but I missed inner 1 by like 8 feet.
Yeah.
And then I missed inner 2 by like 7 feet. And Matt was pretty on them. Not great, but he was much closer than I was. So I was like, I'm going to throw a big angle through here. And I did. It was a little bit more than I wanted, but I picked up the clip perfect, and I didn't really slow down very much. So I didn't think the judges were going to hate on it that bad, but they definitely did. They definitely hated on it pretty bad.
I was curious to see.
And then it was funny enough, like Osbo did the same thing to Matt in the next run, but not with angle, just trying to make the clip. And they said that was okay.
Right.
And I thought, like, well, at least mine was like balling out, trying to get a 100-point lead run.
Yeah.
Whereas Osbo kind of chopped the track, handbraked, rode the brake through inner clip 3. Matt flew off track because he had nowhere to go. But that was cool,
Yeah.
But I don't think they necessarily hated on your maneuver. It was like mostly like an overall, because I mean, dude, like we were up there and even the judges were like, "Holy shit, that was pretty badass."
Big Balls, can you play the run with him and Matt? It should be like the first link I sent you earlier, if possible. If not, whatever.
Yeah,
Sometimes
it
it's challenging. But yeah, I understand why they would, I don't want to say punish you, but not reward for that behavior, because it's a qualifying run first. so that's, I got you even giggle when you see that. But
that was pretty ridiculous.
Yeah. And I love it. It happens. It happens so fast in the in-car when you see that. But like the other car.
Yeah, let it play again, Brian.
Yeah, it's just going. But oh man, that's nuts.
That's
I
the
love
best
how
part.
drifting just like really, it excites people seeing the reverse entries more than anything right now, and like the Zeitgeist, the bigger picture of drifting. Like that's everyone's favorite. But that was like, I think, mostly a followable reverse entry. Like if you did that on actual competition, like how much speed do you think you actually scrubbed versus your qualifying one run?
I mean, I pretty much just scrubbed the speed at a different part of the track, because if you watch, I'm pretty much flat into the next turn. So instead of slowing down after the clip, I slowed down through the clip with angle.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I probably didn't lose any speed. The actual timing was probably pretty similar. You got to get down to the speed anyway. So whether you did it earlier or later, it's going to be pretty similar.
But still following that, I imagine, especially if you're not expecting
I mean,
it.
When I backed it in front of Matt, I waved at him. It was just like, wham! I was like, hey, and then drove back into it, because it's like, I know it's going to phase everybody.
BB, can you pull up the Matt run? Because that's what I think was the play of the weekend. And when you're...
You have it?
I mean, you're obviously now comfortable with this Mustang in a way that you haven't been previously, or you're just getting more and more comfortable each round. Can you do that in
Just like
any car? Not any car, but could you have done that like in your last BMW drift car? Like what's special about this car that lets you pull out? Like, oh god, that sounds terrible. How you pull out so good?
Yeah, I mean, I've done it with a lot of the cars and a lot of the BMWs. I have the same thing. It's just the balance of like, it seems odd, but it's a balance of removing all your front grip and adding a ton of rear grip, because you got to be able to drag the fronts and then have enough rear grip to drive out of it. So if you have that, when I teach backwards entries, my biggest cheat when people are learning, I'm like, go put 100 pounds of tire pressure in the front, so you can drag the fronts and they don't try to pull you back around. That's kind of the big deal. So with that turn being so fast, I could just huck it as hard as I wanted no matter what, and the car wouldn't spin because the forward grip of the car would drive us out of it.
But I mean, I know that your car is not really set up to have a lot of front steering or drivability, but like in an amateur drift car, like I don't want to have any kids who are in their days. Like if you lose a bunch of front grip on most car amateur setups, isn't that going to be difficult to drive?
I don't know. I prefer that way. A lot of times I set people's cars up removing some front grip to help them.
Really? So yeah, we'll talk about your drift school a little bit later in the show. But yeah, what do you like set up these mostly stock, just prepared BMWs at, like grip tire wise?
Like I've run quite a bit of rear grip. Like even our school cars run like between 18 and 22 pounds in the back, and then run about 50 in the fronts. And it just really allows the car to transition smoother, and it allows people to be slower on the wheel and still get the same reaction.
Hold on, Chelsea, we're watching this. All right, so there you missed clip 1.
They missed clip 2.
And they're like, all right, whatever.
Here's where in your head you're like, I'm going to do a little reverse here. And then pretty much just from it's kind of underwhelming from this high in the sky angle, but you just drove by like the pavilion where I was standing, and the angle of your car at that moment was so ridiculous.
Yeah, it was definitely over 90.
Over 9,000.
Yep, and then oh geez, people are ripping over here.
You got some Hot Boys behind you,
dude? Yeah, I'm sitting at a McDonald's parking lot for everyone who doesn't know this.
Yeah, in Eugene, Oregon, leeching off Oregon. Did you at least buy a hamburger, or are you just leeching off their Wi-Fi?
I'm just leeching off their Wi-Fi.
Nice.
I can't even tell you the last time I've eaten McDonald's. Not a fan.
Should go give it a whack.
Nah, I'm good. So yeah, we're just hanging out. Chelsea's outside walking the dog somewhere.
Are you
not speaking in third person? That's my girlfriend's name.
Yeah, we all know what you were doing there. So what do you think of the event overall? Is it a good track for us? Should we keep going back?
Yeah, I think it's a good track. I mean, I had a lot of fun. It was one of the most fun tracks I've driven in a while. I love the fact that it's at a road course, not at an oval track. I mean, I love oval tracks, but there's more oval tracks than race courses in Formula D. So I'd like to class it up a little bit more with some road race stuff. And it's a challenging track. It's easy to drive a lead run, very, very difficult to drive a chase. I mean, you just saw everyone blowing it on the chase there because it's so hard. You really need to give the driver in front some time and then be able to drive in. So it's just a hard track to set up for. Especially, but it was nice at least because we were all on the same page. Like no one had really driven their cars there before, so that helped us out quite a bit when we were making calls and changes very quickly.
I know it's the case in most pro level upper tier FD stuff right now, is that if as a follow driver you are off the lead driver just like by some small amount, you're going to have a hard time recovering that for the rest of the track. But I feel like this track specifically punishes that too because it's so fast and so sweepy, that if the lead driver, let's say, just does a slightly different run than you had followed in practice, or they are just accelerate sooner or brake sooner or brake later or whatever, and it might not be noticeable at all to even the judges, but you as a follow driver, like suddenly you have to check up and then they're gone, right? Like it's so
I mean the biggest thing is like obviously they want your nose in like front tire to back tire, right? But in some of the spots on this track, there wasn't enough room to get there, right? So you had to repetitively kind of like sit and wait at their back bumper, being blinded by all the smoke, and then say, now is the time, and hope that it was the right time. If they change anything or do anything out of the ordinary, you're kind of screwed. So it's very, very easy to trap people on this track, if that makes sense. Like, even if it wasn't on purpose, like big entry in, drive into the inner clip. If you late apex that inner clip while someone's on the inside, boom, they're off track with 2 tires. So there's just a lot of spots where people can get trapped and whatnot. So it's it's a game of patience. And when you're chasing a car, you don't really have that patience. You know, you're like, I need this now.
Yeah, and I know like a lot of, drift elite and master commentators in the sport, like we're talking about the follow. It's been a common conversation. It's like, oh, do you follow the back of the car or do you follow their mirrors? Get on their, not even their door, like get on their fender. Like we've not, I don't want to say criticize James Dean for that, but it's kind of his style, is rather than doing like an on the bumper sort of deal, he's on the front quarter, which looks very stunning, but at times it's kind of like, well, you're taking a much, much shallower line, and that gives you the ability to check up in different ways. But I think you kind of had to do that, like on the last sweeping corner of this track, like to not be in the smoke because it was such a wide corner. So if you were on the bumper, you couldn't see anything. You had to be on the mirror on the door to see anything.
Yeah, I mean, also you had to be at the mirror because if you were at the back of them on that turn, you'd very easily just put a tire in the dirt, because everybody was riding the edge of that track super tightly.
Yeah, we saw that happen to Turk in the middle of the track where he just dropped 2 tires off and it just spun him around like a top. That was kind of shocking.
Yeah, the
looking.
touch and go. That was pretty wild. Yeah, I did the exact same thing as him the practice lap before that, so it was pretty wild.
Hey, Chelsea, before we continue, do you mind lifting your camera a little bit? We can see like half your face.
Lift it up?
Yeah, just lift. There you go. Thank you.
I'm falling.
It was the best. It was the best half. Oh, what's that? What's that down there in your lap?
Oh, it's a water bottle.
All right, cool.
Let me see. It's really hard because I'm like putting this on the dash.
No, it's all good.
Is that better right there?
Sure.
Oh, here we go. I'll just lean back a little bit. No.
Yeah.
But can you do this?
How far back does your chair go?
I think I don't know. Is that better there? Is that good?
No, you're fine.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. We're just hanging out in my truck. You're leaning, dog.
Thank you.
Leaning like a cholo.
Did you talk to Lorette Hosford at the track
I
at all?
did. I did.
How'd our boy do?
He did pretty good.
Hey.
He's always exciting on the mic, so it was good. It was a different change of pace. I liked Lorette, but he filled in well.
Awesome. Thanks.
I'd say that he filled in about 2.5 times the amount that Lorette does, if we're just talking.
Oh, God damn it, Sam.
Perfect.
No, but one thing that I was like, obviously hanging out in the hot pits, you get a much different perspective than sitting in the stands where Paco and Sam were. But it was just like there was so much of a different vibe in the pits or in the hot pits this round. And even like when I talked to Ken was like on his interview when I asked him, he's like, to be honest with you, I'm not in the points chase, so I'm just going to go as hard as I possibly can, and whatever happens, happens. I'm not going to try to hold back. And it felt like that vibe was kind of off on everybody. It's like, do you know what? We got 2 rounds left after this, so why not just throw it? We're going to throw it.
Yeah.
And it was definitely a
drive
much
hard.
different
That's
vibe.
how it should be.
Yeah, Ken was so chill in that interview with him. Like usually Ken is just different sounding, and he's like, "Well, I'm not gonna win this year, so I'm gonna go out there and leave my dick on the track." And you're like, "All right, thank you, Ken." He's like, "Yeah, not a big deal." He rips out a cigarette.
Later, Dick.
Just fucking takes a hit of a huge bong and pulls his dinger out.
Yeah.
Like, all right, Ken. I guess I'll see.
To see it for sure.
Takes 10 minutes.
He was in the zone.
Yeah, for sure.
When was the last time you were on the podium? Was it Long Beach last year?
Yeah, Long Beach 2016.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was
first podium.
that was first
and
place.
It was a win, so
Yeah.
that was solid.
Yeah. And did it feel good, Chelsea, to get on the podium? I mean, like, what did it feel like? Was it? You've always kind of been like this low key, middle of the road, not excited guy. Like even when something's super exciting, you're like, "Yep, it was really good." Like, were you fucking pumped?
Well,
Like, what?
Normally I'm like pretty exhausted by the end of the weekend.
Yeah.
And I'm like, brain is a bowl of mush. But it felt really good to be back on the podium, to be honest with you. And like having Matt and Osbo like above me, it was like, I mean, these guys rip. They're really good. Like, we've had a rough season so far, but we've been tuning everything up and making everything work a little bit better. And, it's my second year in the car, but I'm still learning a lot. And the team and I are working together to change some things up. And everybody's being really receptive. So to put it on the podium with all the changes we've been making lately was like a real big eye opener for the team. Everybody was super stoked. I mean, I posted a video yesterday on my Instagram of them announcing that I made it onto the podium, which was actually Osbo's run, because if he beat Pitor, that means I put it on the podium. If not, I was in 4th place, just based off qualifying. And you could just see this. Everybody on the team was so stoked.
Yeah. And ever since I left the team, you guys have been going through some hard times. I don't know, maybe they're linked. I'm not sure. But talking to Vaughn on the Beyond the Podium, and first thing I said was, of course, congratulations. And yeah, then he revealed to me like, yeah, you guys have been struggling, morale wise, just because the season has not gone as successful as his seasons in the past. And you've been actually marginally successful. I don't want to say marginally. You've been successful, period. But this must have been a relief for you guys.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I wouldn't say the morale is down at all. I just think that we've been changing some direction of things and realizing that, there are some people out there that are insanely fast and they're building cars that are, maybe have a little bit more power than ours and maybe have a little bit different setup. And then now that drifting is changing so rapidly, we need to adapt what we have so that we can be competitive. And I think we proved that we're competitive last weekend.
Yeah.
I think that we've proved that we've been competitive, but it hasn't all lined up. I've had some really good quick acts of wildness and really good chases and proven that the car has its value and whatnot. But the communication and the team and everything this weekend really kind of showed that move forward and that step forward that, we have been trying to collect these things and get them to work correctly. And now all of a sudden they are,
So
Definitely.
I want to roll on that conversation just a little bit too. You said, the sport of drifting is changing so much on a professional level. What are some of the big changes that you're seeing over the past 2-3 years that you guys are trying to adapt to?
Yeah, I mean, like the judges keep changing what they want us to do and whatnot. Like, now lead runs are extremely important. Whereas before, like, as long as you hit your marks and did okay, it didn't matter. Like now they're like, oh, you're running less angle and you're doing less of this than qualifying. So you're not running your 100-point qualifying run. And now, like, you've seen people do a really good chase, but not have a good lead run. And the other driver maybe didn't chase as good, but now had a really good lead run. And that guy wins, the guy who had the better lead run. So it's like, we even saw an example last weekend with Kristaps Blues, where he basically just burned the chase driver and drove as fast as he physically could around the track, put a huge gap on it, which back in the Daigo days, he would have won.
Yeah,
that was now they're like, you lost, dude. What are you doing? This isn't drifting. You just went as fast as you could and tried to burn him.
Which you can. That was an interesting run to watch, too, because I was excited watching it because that car sounds and looks amazing. His driving's great. But he was obviously just turned up and just actively trying to smoke the other driver and driving shallow and just going for the fastest racing line through the track while maintaining tire smoke. And I don't think I don't think
it's a balance.
I don't think he was intentionally trying to
That's
do that to make an example, or I don't know what I want to call it, but I mean he knows what the line was, but I think he gets pumped and he just ripped it.
Well, yeah, I think that he lost that battle before he even got on the track because I think he just put too much in the car, and the car
he's always high strung looking.
Yeah, I mean the car wasn't really able to run the line he needed to. It was very shallow on angle and whatnot because he just couldn't spin the tires up because he put so much grip in it. But that's kind of always been his style, But now it's starting to be like, oh hey, by the way, we are drifting. This isn't Formula Drag Race, so let's at least meet in the middle there, And that's kind of what you see.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, dude.
Baller qualifying runs, and then you see everybody kind of hit the line, do what they need to, but like sacrifice some angle because they start gripping the cars up for the battles, because they know that other person's going to be faster. So it's a balance of everything, and I think the strategy behind everything in Formula D has gotten much higher than normal. I mean, it used to be just everybody had a crap load of horsepower, and they just put enough grip in it so that they could stay on everybody's doors. But now everybody's doing that, so the steps are steps are steps. And by the time it gets to the top 8 and top 4, people are driving setups in their car that never even driven before, So it's just the progression of speed and whatnot is getting so crazy. And it's tough for me because, like, I like to drive a lot of angle and have a lot of style, and I want to be fast because I don't want to lose. So now I have this car that's like really wild to drive because it's got to have grip and be as fast as them at more angle because I hate sacrificing that,
Yeah. So I was going to ask, so do you feel the sport is still in that power grip race, or do you think it's kind of leveled out? Because obviously we always talk about the Daigo era, how that was, I almost felt like that was probably one of the worst times for the sport for that in a sense, as This dude brings over this monster. Then everybody's doing LS supercharged nitrous, 1,400 horsepower. Can't keep their cars together.
And everyone's motors blew up the next
Everybody's
year.
going
That's a
through
bad year for reliability.
clutches and rear ends, and just everything is breaking. But now it's like there's a power and grip war, but it's at a lower level. I feel like
I wouldn't say it's at a lower level. I think everyone's just made it to the point. So like my whole thing is like 2014 was the year where about 3/4 of the field really started just adding the horsepower, right?
right.
And they were trying to figure out how to make it reliable, how to have grip, how to have everything work, you know. And I think in 2016 they had to kind of figured out, okay, this is the recipe that works. But then the guys who were ahead were faster and dialing in more grip, and some tire companies came out with new tires and vice versa. So then in 2017, it was again like the same type of thing. A lot of people heard motors, a lot of people doing that because they've now made that grip work with 900 horsepower. So they're like, now we need more, you know. And I think this year has been that again, like how 2014, 15 was. It was like, okay, now we're here and we're reliable. Now in 2017, they're here. And now 2018 comes and everyone kind of has been slowly upping the power, keeping some reliability, but getting the cars faster and faster, you know. So I think it's just a progression, and there's always those years where people are still trying to figure that out.
Well, that brings up the point of you saying that, you know, it's not Formula Drag Race anymore, and the judges aren't rewarding people for that fast, low-angle driving, which that's all the fans used to complain. You know, you look at the fans that kind of bitched about Formula Drift. They're like, oh, it's Formula Drag Racing. Well, now they're being it's deemed being as a fault run if you're running shallow angle with tons of speed. So
Right.
obviously now it's once again the dialing the grip and power is to be able to do kind of your idea is being able to dig in as much angle as possible, be able to drive out of the corner with speed. It's not about carrying the speed, and it's being able to dig out of the corner. Is that?
Well, for me, it's always about the momentum, honestly, because like if you're trying to dig out of every corner, you're just going to be choppy, your fluidity is not going to be good and all of that. So for me, it's always been about the momentum, which is the most scary part of drifting, right? So good drivers that are fast drivers are able to drive with a ton of momentum, right? And I'm not trying to like boost my own ego or anything, but that's the reason I can drive with more angles, because I just use the angle to slow me down. So I pull more angle on to slow down rather than using the brakes and the handbrake like some of the other drivers do out there, right? So I'm able to keep that same speed because I'm forcing the car to do things instead of, you know, just making the car get there by pulling the safety stick and, you know, whatnot. So driving more dangerously and more aggressive and being on the throttle longer allows you to keep that speed up to match some of the guys that maybe aren't doing that. You know, like I prefer not using the brakes if I don't have to, kind of thing. So that's what I dial in through the weekend. So yeah, that's pretty much the gig of like being able to drive with good angle and be able to have proximity on drivers and good speed.
So,
Yeah.
how do you compare your thoughts and feelings on the Mustang in your car specifically to when we last spoke to you last year? I don't remember exactly what you said about it, but how has the car evolved? How have you evolved with it?
Yeah, I mean, so this year we changed a lot of the suspension stuff about midway through the season. They had some theories that were working and whatnot, but after driving for them for, I guess it was about 9 or 10 events at the time, I was like, look, man, I think I would really benefit from these things. You know, like they had a setup that was the most grip possible, instant power, instant everything. Well, I was like, well, let me momentum drive this instead of having to wait. Like, I don't have the patience to drive a car like that. I'm different from you guys. Like, I think you guys probably saw every round I was hitting someone, like running into them.
It was
It's
awesome.
because I just don't have enough patience. Like, I'd be on their door and I'd be like, it's time to go, and press on the gas, boom, hit them. And I'm like, dude, like, I'm losing because the car is too gnarly, kind of thing, you know?
Yeah,
I said, so let's like make it more linear, a little easier to drive.
which you see
Let's
that in
change the
Chris stops
steering
right
up.
now too, of course.
Yeah,
That's-
same type of thing, right? So, you know, everybody, and it goes back to what Corey was saying, like, you know, everybody trying to balance that. Like, in my eyes, it was a little bit unbalanced for my type of driving. So we made some changes to my car, and those changes have gone on Vaughn's car as well. And, you know, it's become an easier car to drive, more confident car. And, sometimes everyone's like, oh, you don't have enough grip to be fast, this and that. A lot of times it's not even about the grip. It's about having the driver be comfortable. If the driver can stay in the gas longer in a loose car, then they're going to be able to be faster overall than something that's gripped up because they're making corrections all the time.
I was recounting to the boys right after the event where all we could talk about was how awesome your night was that dark day after Formula Drifter Wendell 2 years ago when you had BMW not work for multiple rounds in a row, and I was packing up my gear, and you walked into the back of the trailer with the ball, and you're like, my shit ain't working, dog. Like, I want to be your boy. I'll do whatever it takes. What do you need? And that was a magical moment for you, I imagine, and kept you in the sport, and now you are the style king, I would say, at the moment, and by all appearances doing very well. But how did that progression affect you, and how has that changed you to who you are today?
I still kind of strive for the same goals, right? So I still haven't won a championship, so I still suck in my eyes, right?
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
Like, until you are win a championship, like, you're not good enough. That's my theory, right? So I'm pretty hard on myself, and I keep progressing through it. But the big changes have been, like, I have only lost one round since I've driven with RTR because of a mechanical issue, which is like the total opposite of my life the entire time before that. Like in Formula D, we've been busy, like, trying to do everything we can, to be reliable and whatnot, but it just didn't happen the times before. So I have this bum right now trying to ask me for money. Should I show you guys this guy?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
This guy. He's wait.
Hey, buddy.
I
Welcome
ain't
to
got money, I'm a
Driftcast.
drifter. I'm a broke drifter.
That's awesome.
But yeah, anyway,
Was that
it's like
June?
just one of those things where I went from this unreliable car that, I knew how to drive and everything was really well to the opposite. Like I went from this super reliable car that I didn't know how to drive, right? And I didn't really even know how to drive it till the end of the year last year. I had some good strides in it, but, I figured out, it took me a year to figure out how to drive the thing, but it's been so reliable that I was able to pick it up quicker. I worked on that BMW chassis and drove a BMW chassis for almost 10 years, and it took me 8 years to be really competitive in it. And in this year, in this car, in a year, I feel like I'm actually competitive in it and can win some events.
Well,
Definitely.
so I was going to ask you about that. Is it because of the team that's behind you that is supporting you that's allowing you to learn so fast in that car, or was it just the resources that you had in the BMW that you don't have now?
I think it's a combination of a lot of things. So, like, our team absolutely kills it. Like, they are unreal. And even when, let's say, we have a bad weekend and whatnot, it's like has nothing to do with the team. They absolutely kill it. It's crazy. Like, I always feel like I'm letting them down when I don't win because they're all working so hard and doing everything they're supposed to be doing. And I'm like, well, I'm supposed to be winning, but sorry, guys,
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's a lot of it. I think me not changing motors by myself or with one other crew guy on Friday night every event and not sleeping and going to the dyno on Saturday morning before competition kind of thing. I think not doing those kind of things has made me more focused. I've had a better opportunity to win, right? Because it's all about, your percentage of being able to win, right? And before it was like 5%, and now it's like probably 80%. Like it's much more. I have much more resolution on my driving, if that makes sense.
Definitely. Right. The focus of your energies is so much more now, not having to worry about your car and just strictly worrying about you. But of course, now, as you just said, you only have yourself to punish when you don't succeed.
But that's okay. Like, I can fix that stuff, I'm a terrible mechanic. I couldn't fix my car and get it going. So now I have really good mechanics and I'm able to stay focused. So I'm hard on myself, but that's what's going to make me hopefully become a champion one day.
Yeah, we were having a similar conversation with the Lorette cast at the Lorette show a few weeks ago of just the way that you treat yourself. Maybe it's not the healthiest to be fucking brutal to yourself, but it is kind of the winner's recipe to some degree. It
Keeps you hungry.
By never resting on your accomplishments. Like right now, of course, you just got third place and you warmed a lot of hearts and minds, but I'm sure you're like, well, that's something, but next time I better get first.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because, like, obviously I'm very excited that we got on the podium. but like everyone was like, "Oh, you got on the podium," and I was like, "Yeah, thanks to Osbo." I was like, "I drove really, really well, but if Osbo wouldn't have won, I wouldn't have been here." So I was like, "High five to him," you know.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, "Nah, man, like you got that place because you qualified better than the other driver." I was
Right.
like, "Yeah, no, I know, but like I'm still the second place loser, you know."
Yeah.
Well, but
Do you
I
think?
And you know, it's all about just like I said, it ended up being it's a fun thing for me, but I'm also very competitive, right? So I had a lot of fun, but you know, I reached some goals, but not all of them, you know.
But I think you're not giving yourself enough credit because I don't know. I mean, obviously you weren't watching our halftime show, but when there's this thing we have this segment, the next entire moment, where we pretty much like try to find the best moment from top 32, and it was already during the halftime where we just called it like the best moment of Formula Drift on this day. It's actually Chelsea.
Yeah,
Like,
it wasn't just a run.
not
It was
even
the
a
first time we
run.
didn't choose a specific run because your run against Dirk, I think it was impressive, but it wasn't like a standout among everything else moment. But it was you as a driver for the weekend that was exciting us, and that's why we chose Chelsea as the moment.
Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
yeah, man.
And it's like and that's mostly because since practice, you were just throwing down, and then in qualifying, obviously, you did your stunt on your second qualifying run, which also looked amazing. So
For the boys.
it just
For the boys.
for some reason it just looked like you were on this dominating mentality of I'm just gonna do my thing, I'm gonna look awesome, and I mean, I think one of the biggest signs that you were doing right, it was the audience, like the fans sitting on the grandstands. They were going crazy every time you did a pass. And one of the moments that it struck me the most is when you on your backwards entry when you were leading against Matfield. Like pretty much everybody on the tower, like said, everybody was like, whoa, like everybody hands up and everything. And there
What
was
did the judges do? You were next to them. I wasn't at the moment.
oh yeah, they were like, holy shit, that was crazy.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
You lose.
And
Yeah.
but like I looked into the grandstands, and there was a bunch of people that was looking to the.
They were on their feet. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's up on their feet, but there was a bunch of people, like a lot of people, that was looking at the judges' tower, and they were like calling each other, like, "Hey, look at the people on the judges' tower! Look, they're all like," because everybody was like hands in their heads, like a lot of people on their feet, and everybody noticed that. So obviously, I mean, it was kind of like, oh, Matfield gets the win. Like, okay, well, I mean, those who we know why, but it was still kind of like we know, like, even if you didn't win that one, you were still doing like probably the best performance on the whole stadium.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the deal, right? So if I'm not happy with my driving, that doesn't condone any good driving in general. So I always got to drop little Easter eggs for myself to keep myself going. I know the sport has been changing and things have been going more towards the style aspect and how wild you can get on track and dangerous. So for me, it's like,
But you
cool,
crossed the
like,
line.
yeah, but you cross the line.
Yeah.
0. But, anyways, I mean, like I said, it's one of those things where it's like, if I'm not having fun, I feel like it's obvious, right? And that's my first goal of everything is like, I got to be out there having fun, right? Once I'm having fun, I know I'm going to drive to win because I'm a competitive person. So, every once in a while, I got to do some things for me, for the fans, for drifting in general to kind of keep it as like, this is what it should be.
And the boys.
For the boys.
Strong for the boys.
And-
My homies.
And I'm happy to.
For you guys.
Is that when thanks, dude. Is that when you did that and the fans were on their feet and then they went unanimously for Matfield? The fans were like, they were kind of bummed, but no one was like pissed. Like everyone got it. Like they knew, like, all right, Chelsea was doing some big dick silly maneuvers, but we know that
Dude, I was
we
just
can't
trying
allow
to
that.
I was trying to maximum drift. That's
Yeah,
what this
man,
show's
you did.
about.
You did.
I was
It-
maximizing my drift, bro.
You absolutely did. It was
Did you-
awesome. Did you get to watch Osbo's run in the finals?
I did.
Do you think you could have beaten him with the way he was running?
I think so.
You think you
I
could?
didn't think we had the car to win. I think I was in the mindset to win. I just blew interclip 1 and 2 against Matt. That was the main nail in the coffin.
Was that just a mishandling of the car, overexcitement? Like, what was it?
Yeah, I just entered like 3 feet too late, and it pushed me out wide, and I was just off by that little bit. we put a little bit more grip in the car for Matt, and I just leaned on it a little bit too hard for myself and just pushed a little wide and got a little off of it. But
it's so insane how 3 feet throws you off so hard.
Oh yeah, I mean, what had happened was I was probably only going to be 3 feet off the clip, but I realized that, so I just blazed the tires off, and then I put a bunch of angle in, but went wide because of it. And then I was like, "Help! I need this clip," and I couldn't get to it. So I was like, "Oh man, I got to get the next one." Too late, missed that one too. So then I was like, inner clip 3, I just cast it out the line and just like reeled myself in, backed it in front of Matt.
Papa of Papa Drifting, Ryan Sage. not Papa Mama Kisses.
Drift Dad.
Not to be confused. This is Drift Dad. Ryan Sage says Denofa equals one of the purest, rawest driving talents in the modern era of drifting.
Wow,
That's pretty high
pretty
praise.
good.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah,
Thanks, Ryan.
You can put that on the back of your biography.
Yeah, that's it. So first page opening.
Let's
And
update his
dash
Wikipedia.
Ryan Sage. Or
Yeah,
Papa Drift.
Papa Drifting, Drift Dad. Drift Dad's what we call him in gym.
Yeah.
How has your relationship with Vaughn and Team RTR evolved since you've joined the team a short
been
2 years
good.
ago?
I mean, it was good right off the hit. I didn't realize the truck was on. I just stepped on the gas pedal on accident. I'm rolling coal on some random people.
Throw some R's.
But no, it's been really, really good. I mean, our relationship has gotten a lot tighter. Everybody understands my little quirks of everything, and sometimes I'm like a little negative on the radio, but they know it's not towards them at this point. It's just me working through my process of being the best driver I can be out there. And, all the little things have worked out, everybody's stoked on it. We have some new guys on the team that are already pretty happy with everything, and communication's good. I mean, I think that we're pretty much at that 100% professional race team, professional everything, but we're having a lot of fun at the same time. And everyone's enjoying their jobs and all the work they're putting towards it. So it's at a really, really good place right now. And I think that, it's only going to get better, obviously.
Yeah, and Team RTR has always shown that the forerunners of professionalism, despite having me on the team for years. So,
yeah, when you think we have between 16 and 20 people that show up to work on our cars and run our marketing and run the Fun Haver tour and all that stuff.
Yeah.
For that many people to be having a good time and wanting to do this and continuing all the time, it really does kind of show something, having all that positivity with that many people. I see a lot of teams at FD that have 3 or 4 people that are mad at each other. Imagine trying to keep that going with all 4 times as many.
Corey, do you remember Chelsea just mentioned that he had a bunch of quirks that the team had to deal with? Do you remember me telling you some of his quirks?
Yeah. Yep.
There's one he'd always have to shit in the upper deck of the toilet pot.
Right.
He does. All right, guys, hold on. Here comes Chelsea.
Here comes the upper decker. Yeah.
All right. What were some of the other ones I told you, Corey?
The other one was he usually likes putting jelly on the toilet seat before he sits down.
Yeah, that's the other weird thing.
Yeah.
And that's to pee, obviously.
Right.
So
Right.
weird. Is that a thing?
That was some of your quirks.
That's what you were doing. What was some of the other ones? Oh yeah, you always made the whole team lick your steering wheel before you went out because you said that hurts your hands.
Oh, yeah.
It's a metal wheel, and you're
Yeah.
like, we gotta cool this thing down. You have us all spit on the wheel.
Yep.
There you go.
And if
So
we
I
were,
can glide through my hands while I'm
yeah.
thing.
Well, and then obviously once the spit dries up, you just have this big. He always keeps it in the door, and it's a big tub of Astroglide.
Yeah.
And he just slopped that thing all over the wheel, and it would just.
Well, then he also does a full carb diet where he eats nothing but bagels for about a week before.
Yeah, you got a
full carb
Love
load.
bagels.
Yep. So you do full carb load. Yeah, that's a tough. It's like having a prima donna artist show up to your venue. It's just always have to please them. So going off of that, I actually got a question. I was just thinking about this because I want to look at Chelsea in FD 2012 to 2013 in a BMW and Chelsea Denofa now in RTR. Have you learned something on being in the RTR team that you look back at your first year in FD and be like, I should have been doing something different? What is some big differences that you picked up being on considered a professional team versus what you were doing as a privateer in FD?
Well, I mean, there's a massive difference, right? So, I mean, before it was me kind of delegating what's going on and spending all this time and building the car and keeping everything running and running the marketing and all that. Kind you can only be like 60% of each of those things.
Mhm.
You know, you can't do any of those jobs at 100% because you have so many other things to do.
Right.
Whereas now, like driving for this team, I'm like, man, I should have just hired some people to help. Like, I would have been progressed much faster if I could have hired some people to kind of help me, like, distribute the load kind of thing. And now I kind of see that, like, driving for RTR is like, oh man, like, this is what I should be focusing on. This is what I need to be focusing on. You know, having other people's opinion. Like, no one made a setup call on my car until I drove for RTR. Like, every change, every setup deal, everything was me. And, you know, I think it's nice that I have that knowledge now. But also, like, it's really good to be able to have somebody outside of the car watching you drive saying, like, no, man, you need this done to the car. It'll make it look better and be faster and this and that. So that's one of the other things, too, is, like, having that help to maximize what you've got.
But I mean, you couldn't have hired more people at the time because you didn't have the revenue, so you had to learn how to. I mean,
I mean, so you could have created the problem, right? So if you need those people there to make it happen, like even if it's just a couple more people to help, you know, you find a way to make that happen and cover it.
Well,
in some way or
slave
another.
labor.
Well, that was my next question. That's kind of rolling off of Sam. Is then how do you become a successful privateer? How would you train somebody that may not have that resources that's willing to take that jump to say, hey, if you want to grow as quick as you possibly can in this sport, yeah, driving and working on your cars is crucial, but you need these X pieces of the puzzle to make that grow that much faster. How would a privateer be able to be successful?
I think the first step is to have someone that is not yourself manage the operation. So even if it's just 4 people at the track, you know, like obviously you're going to have a mechanic that's doing tires and making sure the car is running right. You're obviously more than likely going to have a spotter. You know, you could probably get away with having those 2 people and a manager that manages the team, right? So you need someone that says like, hey, you know, these tires need to be done. These spare shocks need to be built up. These things need, like, so someone who's not the driver overlooking the program at all times. You know, even if it's someone like your girlfriend or your whatever, mom, dad, whoever it is that can come out and maybe support you for who you are, like that, having that one manager person takes that, like probably about 80% of the stress out of the driver.
Yeah, you got to get your girlfriend or hetero life bro to run it. like Dustin had Corey run his program, and you know it turned out really well for him.
It's a success,
Right.
Full success, Sam.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like the last thing you want to be is the driver who's like thinking like, oh man, like, am I gonna have these tires mounted for my next qualifying run, or am I gonna have this done, or did
Do I
someone
have gas in my car?
Right, or oh, I missed a driver's meeting and now they're not gonna let me drive because someone didn't help me manage my time and stuff, things like that, you know.
So here's the other question to that is, okay, you join this big team. You are this young up and coming rapper who's big in the underground, and now you sold out. You're big dog now. How else has becoming a part of one of the largest drift teams in the world changed you outside of drifting?
Yeah, so I mean, I am very, very big on keeping my values for everything, even if it's, you know, saying to RTR like, hey, like that's not part of my beliefs, you know, like I think that it should be this way or that way or whatever, and I always hope that they're receptive to that, and they always have been since I've joined the team. So I've been able to, you know, I don't want to use the term image because I'm not trying to be anything that I'm not, but I'm able to keep my image me, you know, like other than like maybe some posts on Instagram that like people were promoting and like, you know, trying to help those of our partners promote their brand,
Right.
You know, like I'm not trying to sell it and shove it down your throat, obviously, but I do have to make posts and do things like that to be able to get content and be able to drive and show off and have a good time and be able to do this. So like there are some things that like have changed as far as the marketing aspect of it, but as far as like trying to keep me and, you know, myself in the RTR camp, they've been, you know, really big on keeping that, you know, like they want my style, my personality, my everything to stay, you know, because that's part of the reason why I think they hired me to drive in the first place, you know.
Definitely.
There's
Does that answer the question, or did I?
Yeah, no, but
no,
because once again, you have this Chelsea who's a privateer, and it's the underdog that everybody's rooting for. You're out there, BMW one-man show, everybody's rooting for you, and then you get put in the position that you are now, which probably changed your life quite a bit.
Yeah, no, it did for sure. I mean, I'm still doing the same things
Right.
as I always have been. It's just not on an FD car, right? So I still doing project cars. I still
Yeah.
have my own fun cars. I have the School of Drift now, and that's keeping me super busy. And it's one of those things where, as a whole, it's very much like the same type of thing, but it's not like, oh my gosh, we need this car ready for the next FD event. Let me just not sleep and finish this car and do everything I can. Hop in my truck, drive all the way to the event, and then drive all the way home on Saturday night or Sunday morning, immediately following the event, to go to my job and do all that. So it's very much different in the aspect of Formula D, but my life hasn't changed very much. I'm still in the garage working on stuff all the time, and
Well,
the biggest change is me just flying everywhere to drive all the time instead
Right.
of sitting in the garage.
and that's kind of what I was getting to is all these opportunities open up. You see yourself at air shows and doing these ride and drives and RTR demos and exhibitions, and it's like that's probably something you wouldn't have got staying with your old
for
BMW
sure.
program.
Yeah, I mean, the track time with RTR has just been fully maximized. I mean, I think this year I'll be driving over 100 days just between RTR and some other demos and all that stuff. And then I drive myself at the school all the time too. So, I mean, my amount of driving and my ability to be more flexible with things is much larger with the RTR team because they handle quite a bit of they pick up some of the excess slack.
Do you wish you would have made that move sooner?
I was actually trying to make that move much sooner. It's always been the goal. In 2012, I drove for Bergenholtz Racing, which was a Mazda factory-backed team in FD, and I got a glimpse and a feel of what it's like to arrive and drive. And if the team is flexible with everything, it's the deal. It's the way to go. Obviously, you give up some things because you got to work as a team and be a team player. But the overall end game is just way easier, way better, and obviously can be way more focused on the more important things.
All right, so my last question on this topic is, how do you get somebody to go down the path you did?
Well, I've been drifting for over half my life at this moment, and it's always just been a thing of just constantly defying the odds and pushing yourself further than you've been pushed the day before. My advice to people that would like to get in the position that I'm at, just know that everything in your life will be second or third to it until you finally get that ride. I mean, I would say 70 or 80 hours a week, every week of my life from when I was 17 or 18 till now. So, I mean, you got to bust your ass for it. You got to be knowledgeable on every aspect of it. You have to teach yourself, how to not only do cars and build cars and manage everything, but you also have to be able to manage your time and your efforts and manage some sanity where you have some things in life that are happy for you, There's a lot of ups and downs, and you just can't give up for anything no matter what.
Yeah, I was going to say probably the first step is you have to make an appearance before you can ask for anything like that. You know what I mean?
For sure.
You have to
You have to put in the time.
you have to
can't
put in the
actually-
time before you
yeah.
can ask for something like that. And obviously with the time in the BMW, and they're like, well, if he's willing to struggle through that and continue to keep pushing for that, they can see that ethic. But if you think you're going to just jump into a ride like that, they're going to probably analyze every piece of your previous history.
And you have to cry
Yeah.
a lot. I keep on forgetting to mention that. When Chelsea came into Vaughn's trailer at the end of that season,
Yep.
he was just like
Balling.
his tears. It was like snot running to his mouth.
I think it was the opposite. I was very much in the concept of I'm not driving next year unless this person helps me and sees my value to it. So I'm going to let them know the deal.
Yeah, no, I think, and I think he greatly respected the way that you stepped up and owned the conversation. And you said it wasn't so much like, "Hey, can I be on your team?" You're like, "I'm on your team next year. How do we do it?" And that was.
I mean, I get messages all the time like, "How do I get sponsored?" And I go to their page and they don't even have anything drifting related. I'm like, like you don't deserve it. Figure your own. Like, go get a job and spend your money and do everything you can and learn how to drive first. Like, I see people all the time like get sponsors and figure it out, and I watch them. I'm like, this is like your third drift event, and you have like a local tire shop sponsoring you. Are they stupid? Like, you know what I mean? Like, who do you know there that you figured that out? Like, you know, it's like people don't get that. Like, I took years of marketing classes just to be able to bring in enough money to half pay for Formula D.
Right.
Most people don't realize that it's not about giving someone money for being a race car driver. It's about equal shared value.
Right.
It's that you are giving them value and they're giving
investment.
and you're giving them value. So it's not like they're giving you money because they think you kick ass. They're giving you money because they expect a return on their investment. Not necessarily in like they expect to sell $50,000 worth of oil because you gave them $50,000, but you must prove the fact that you're a good ambassador and you're doing things for the brand that maybe no one else can do. And to show that you're able to do that ahead of time before you even talk to their brand, you got to be able to show that not even that you have to do it or that you can do it with other brands, but just the fact that you have the personality and the ability to sell, I guess.
Yeah, I mean that's. And I don't want to use the term sell. I would more use the term like bring eyes to their product, right? Like. I mean, selling is great and whatnot. Like,
I mean, sell yourself. I don't mean sell product.
Business. But yeah, I mean, the end of the day is like the backwards entry thing I did last weekend. Like, you know, when I do that, I know that like, hey, I'm doing this because I'm making up for something else. You know, it's like maybe there wasn't any crazy content of me driving in the last few events. Now, I blew it. Well, let's just do this because it's going to make some good content. People are going to be happy, and I'm going to have a ton of fun doing it, right? So there's no negative to that. Other than the fact that I got a poor score, but it was already gonna happen.
Yeah, but it would just that you would take poor scores all day. I mean, once you get the good rundown,
and I think that's why I've always been able to be somewhat successful with this, even though I maybe haven't had the best standings, maybe I haven't won the most events or anything. But I think a lot of my marketability is because I drive on the edge all the time. I do kind of convey that I am a drifter. I will be a drifter. I will drive like a drifter, you know, regardless of if that, you know, maybe isn't receptive to the people that matter for my points kind of thing. So, you know, I think that's been a big thing. Like a lot of my partners, they're like, oh, you didn't win this weekend, but like your driving was absolutely insane. And we're happy to be involved with somebody that drives that way, you know, like creates that content and that ability and shows people that, you know, this is what drifting is about.
When you got some good-looking gams, they're always like, you know, this driver's got the hot gams. We don't care. We don't care if you get on the podium. Just do a slow walk with those gams out. You know.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, see, that was the other thing too, talking about, you know, paying for a ride and things like that. And the one thing that really attracted me to drifting as a whole is not, you know, you can't have a guy walk into the sport and give Vaughn $500,000 and say, Vaughn, I'm going to drive your car in Formula Drift. Because it takes a level.
He wrote him a $500,000 check that year.
I'm just hypothetically saying.
No, I'm kidding.
You know, but I'm just saying.
Me out, dog.
But you could go to like World Challenge or these any forms of road racing where there's rent a seat, and you don't have to have tons of talent.
Pays for the rest of the race team.
And you know the thing is yes, you can get somebody that's not a race car driver in a Lamborghini race car, and they can do a lap, and it takes 2-3 minutes, and they'll pay for that. But in drifting, you can't do that because it takes a level of driver talent that even if a guy came up with all the money in the world and says, hey, I'm going to go drift Formula Drift Road Atlanta, he probably wouldn't make it through the first turn. And that is what is the big attraction to the sport is it is a level of talent that requires you to be able to compete in that organization. You can't buy a ride. You can't do any other way rather than earn it like some of the other motorsports out there. And that's, I think, was one of the first big draws for me to drifting is every dude out here has earned it in some degree. They're all great drivers because you can't buy a seat to go compete because it's impossible. If you're not a talented driver, you're not going to do anything.
You can, but it'll show pretty quickly.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the other thing is, like, you really can't drive Formula D without at least spending 3 years of your life learning how to drive it, you know?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's a level of talent that is required to even enter. And
I mean, it's like baseball. You can't just go in the major leagues.
Yeah.
Like it just doesn't happen, you know.
Don't
be
do
all
that, I
right.
can't do.
Well, it would be awesome to watch some
Yeah,
amateur coming
you
into the
gotta-
major leagues.
I think you're a little late now. You're a little old. You got a little
We-
too much gray for the major leagues, but
Don't tell me what I
Yeah.
can't do, Chelsea.
put your mind to it. I'm sure you can do it.
Thank you. Now, before I want to talk and hear all about your drift school because it's a very cool concept, and you've been kind of doing it for years in some form, but this is now an more official form, I would say. But first, we have a bunch of YouTube super chat questions. These are people that give a small donation to the cause, keeping the lights on to get their questions boosted up, and these are very good questions, of course. I think this is an inside joke one. I don't know. It's not a typo. Romero Salvador says, "What was the house power in your car this past event?" Do you know what that means?
Horsepower, house power.
I think it meant
House
horsepower.
power.
I thought it was talking about House, the doctor. Like how many of the pilled up doctors power does your car make? How many
Yeah,
horsepower?
the car makes like just over 900 crank horsepower.
Oh,
So it's probably about 750 at the tires.
Mhm.
And have you driven Vaughn's Ford GT yet?
I have not driven it yet.
I-
We were
I-
supposed to get at least a ride in it, but it was pouring raining and it was like not happening when I was up in Baltimore.
Oh, damn. Do you think he'll let you take the keys one day?
Probably not.
he's seen you driving.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm like, our race cars are like the same value. Let me take this thing out for a rip,
I
dog.
know, right? Well, I think the
Sorry.
Ford GT is more of an investment because that race
Yeah,
car
it
is
is for sure.
not going to be worth a ton in 10 years, but I think that GT will probably quadruple in value.
Not to mention they have a
Yeah.
lot of spares for the Mustangs.
Right. Yeah, we have more spares for our Mustang than Ford has spares for all of the GTs, probably.
Yeah, probably. Right. All right, and this one's from Matt Hill. What are you guys doing with the IS 300?
It's Chelsea's car, so she's just drifting it and having some fun. She took it out about 2 weeks ago, the IS, and had some fun in it. It doesn't have quite enough power, but we're gonna change some rear gear ratios and fix some few things on it and get it out there.
She just posted an R32. Do you guys have an R32?
She has a 32. That's her daily driver.
Damn.
That's
I
sick.
forbid her to drive the R32 on the drift track because it takes so many little things to make it work.
Really?
And I'm just like, just drive this on the street, have fun with it, and don't worry about having to find all these rare parts and whatnot
Yeah.
for them.
Is it a GTS or a GTR?
It's a GTST, yeah. So it makes like 280 of the tires. It's
Yeah.
got like a standalone in it and some other little things, some BCs and CR Kais, and it's cool. It's a nice little kick around 4-door 32.
It's literally what I want the most right
Yeah.
now. I've been having really bad thoughts about buying some JDM sick antique cars, but it's first of all it's hard in California among any other place because then once you import the car you have to spend like 5 to 10 on emissions bullshit. But also it's like $30,000 for a GTR at this point is kind of a lot.
Well, we can find you one. We're close
Yeah.
to Canada.
You,
and
you
Yeah,
don't need,
how does that-
you don't need a
how does that-
GTR, Sam. GTS.
I'm not going to give away all the secrets, but it's fairly easy for us.
Oh.
I'll be texting you.
All right.
Yeah.
Also-
It's not, I don't care. I would give you all the secrets, but there's a lot of importers out there that would be mad at me. So I do
Oh,
it
I gotcha.
for them so they can keep their lights on.
I've also, since we talked to Mad Mike last week,
Wait.
I've been having like FD spasms, FD
Oh,
RX-7.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been like looking because those have just become legal as well. 25-year rule, you can now get an
Yep.
FD, and it's like,
Which
oh,
is why I
that's-
sold mine last year.
really? Why?
Yeah, I was like, these are gonna tank, so
Yeah.
let me get rid of this before they're
No,
legal.
I was saying that no, the U.S. ones are like all 20 and 30 grand, and you can get some imported ones for like 15.
Yeah,
And
they're
it's like,
cheaper for sure. I
cheaper.
sold my US one. I had a US one.
Yeah.
Whoa,
What you
Uh-oh.
got?
dude, look at this! Dude, this is the new FD car right here.
Oh, the
Nice.
What
spaceship.
is that?
That's right up
Oh,
my
yeah.
alley.
Look at that thing.
Nothing's beautiful.
Everyone's like, my car is so fast. It's like a space shuttle. This is literally a space shuttle.
Spy shots of
Dude.
Osbo's next car.
That's it. That's
All right.
it. The
Big
arrow. You can never tell how much angle I have. 'cause
I
it's
know.
Nope.
Yeah.
It-
Can also
it's
tell
round.
if it's going
There's-
front or
back and in,
backwards.
can't tell. You need like boat signs, like red and green, so they know like how much angle
He's
you have.
heading starboard.
Yes.
This is-
yeah.
This is a question from Jacob Wall. Very important question. He says, "Can I has dat?"
Oh, that's a great question.
Thank you, Jacob. Can he?
Can I has that?
And he has that.
He said.
I mean, maybe.
All right,
Yeah,
maybe
sure.
you got it.
I mean,
This
for
one's from Tony
for
Shamoon.
for $2 Canadian, how much is that? Like 25 cents?
2 Canadian? I have no
Yeah,
idea.
yeah, I think that's a
I
great
think
great
we're
question for
Canadian,
25 cents. All right.
Regardless, thank you, Jacob. Tony Shamona says, Paco, this one's for Paco. Paco, smack Corey and call him Lorette. Why would he smack him and call him Lorette?
I can just call him Corey.
You can
Thanks,
just call,
Pac.
can you just smack him and call him Corey?
Can you just I was gonna slap him not just like carefully. Let's get on.
Just give him a
That's
very
as close as you're gonna get,
Hold on.
Pac.
Can you reach him? Do you want to use the base?
No,
route
I'm
to-
gonna jab Pac's eye out with this blue crayon.
Why do you have a blue crayon?
Because I was actually doing Matt Field coloring book and drawing penises on everything.
Get,
I can't wait to
just
see
get your,
what
get your
artwork
face
looks
close,
like.
Corey.
Nope, that's
I like how
it.
you can see the reflection.
What about
Chelsea's
I'll just
glasses,
boop
and
in the
he's
nose.
sitting there
There you
texting.
go.
I texted you.
Texted me. Uh-oh. What did he say? I'm not looking forward to this. Oh my God! It's a picture of a penis.
Of course, typical Chelsea.
Yep.
He didn't want to say to the group, but he's actually trying to take off. He's trying to roll in 5. That's all
I'm
good, Chelsea.
still like 3 hours from home.
I know.
Yeah.
It's all good. We appreciate you spending any time with us. You could.
Plus, my
well,
girlfriend's getting
before
really
we-
angry.
Before,
Actually-
yeah,
God damn it, girl. See.
Yeah.
All right, real quick. Let's talk about drift school. And then we'll hit. What? Girl Chelsea gave us a middle finger.
Oh! She goes back into her cocoon.
I will remember this. We'll get a couple more super chat questions. I don't know if we're gonna get to Instagram questions, but if you're half as cool as Mad Mike, Chelsea, what you'll do when you get a second is to go through Instagram and answer some of the kids' questions. Or since a lot of the time the
Yeah, on
questions
your
are
guys'
things.
post?
Yeah, and a lot of time the questions are shit we already talked about. So feel free to just tell them listen to the episode. But we'd love it if you would do that. But let's talk about your drift school for a few minutes. What is it? What inspired it? And how do people sign up for it?
Yeah, so about 3 or 4 years ago, I started doing instruction kind of all over the world, teaching some people techniques and driving and car setup tools and all that. In the U.S., I've been doing a lot more of them in the last 2 years, like 6 or 7 a year. So, if you guys have a local event and you'd like me to come up, just have your track guys hit me up, and I can come out and teach you guys some instruction. But now at Park, which is my home track in Portland, Oregon, we started a drift school. We've got 4 E36 M3s that all have tons of angle, tons of power, set up exactly for teaching people how to drive. And it's basically the no excuses attitude, right? So you kind of show up. Myself or another instructor walks you through each step. We have a really tight curriculum that focuses on quick driver improvements for people that haven't drifted before. And then also we offer setup classes for people that have their own cars to come drive, get some instruction and some tips on setting up their car to better match their driving. It's really just my whole premise is like there's so many drivers out there that maybe have some really good talent but haven't unlocked them because they don't know their head from their ass at the track.
That's like me.
Yeah. So let me like pull your head out of your butt and figure out how to like make you a driver. We've had tons of students come in the last 3 or 4 weeks, and we've had some of the guys, even like your friends from Race Service.
Yeah,
Kirk
James and
and,
Brian.
Ryan came. Yep. And they, James had never drifted in his life. And at the end of the day, he was running tandem and linking the whole track in about 3 hours.
Yeah.
He does have some talent as a driver. But it was like one of those things where, hey, let me break some of your bad habits for drifting and get you into having some fun. I taught a dude like a couple weeks ago that never driven stick in his life. And by the time he was done, he knew how to drive stick and was ripping like the entire track. So it's really just,
That's crazy.
it's a spot and an ability for people to come in, hang out, have a good time, learn how to drive, and get as technical as they would like to be.
How big are classes? How one-on-one? How long do they last? How long is the wait to sign up?
Yeah, so basically the worst ratio you get is 3 to 1. So one instructor for 3 people. Usually it's much better than that. It's more towards one-on-one. We do offer one-on-one classes as well. If you'd like to sign up and directly work with myself or one of our other teachers, we can do that. We have a homeroom class, which is like your intro to drift. It's a 30-minute classroom session and then 8 laps on the track. It's basically enough to just see if you like it, see if you enjoy it. And then we have half and full day classes as well. in your own car or in our cars that you would rent. It's all inclusive, and it includes your first set of tires and all the fuel for the day. So really, like, it's one of those turnkey drift instruction type things, you know, we're open weekly. There's only a couple weeks that we're actually closed due to like FD or event related stuff. Because 9 times out of 10, I am there doing some of the instruction as well. And it's just an opportunity, like I said, for people that maybe haven't drifted before or have and don't have a car to be able to show up and drive. You know, we also do storage of cars and car setup stuff, so you can just arrive and drive and do your own thing and have some fun on the 12-turn track we have.
Yeah, man. I wish I lived closer, but I hope to definitely do that in the off season with you because I need help.
Yeah, and you should bring your own car because I know you have one. So
yeah, it's gonna be hopefully gearing up to drive again very soon at the fall, and hopefully the video work slows down at least a little bit. And finally,
We have
how
2
much are the
more.
classes?
yeah, so like our homeroom class starts at $250. It's $249.
That's
it
super
includes
cheap
all
to
inclusive.
beat on one of your cars because like I'm
Yeah.
just gonna fucking get in the car and just pin that throttle to the engine blows.
Oh yeah,
That's gonna
for sure.
cost you
Yeah,
a lot
yeah,
more.
yeah. Let's do it,
Yeah,
Sam.
well, I mean, I do have some stipulations to that.
Oh,
Like, you do have
bummer.
to sign it, but it's all pretty loose. It's, you know, hey, you're sitting on the limiter, you need to stop doing that, or, you know, you will have to pay for this if it breaks. you know?
Yeah, but I
Things
mean,
like, but it's, you know, like we've had probably over 50 students already that have gone through, and no one's had a single problem. You know, the cars are built to be tanks, and I've been building those cars for a very long time and setting them up, so we know exactly what the cars need to be reliable and have fun and do what they need to do.
Awesome. 2 quick questions, if you don't mind, please, Chelsea, and then we're out.
Yep.
These are super chats. This one's from Paul Valishkov.
Ooh.
Chelsea, can you give us an update on the E46 EcoBoost or BMW L6, and will we see you compete with it overseas in the future?
So I'd love to. I did get an EcoBoost motor for it. It is going in. It's a 2.3-liter Mustang EcoBoost. It'll get turned up to about 420, 450 wheel at first, and then maybe get turned up just over 500 with a new head package on it later on. But the car with the motor in it currently with me in the car is under 2,600 pounds. So it'll be plenty of power to do anything we need to do. It'd be nice to get that car back out and have some fun with it. So I would hope by the end of the year that car will be good to go. We're just contingent on a couple things and waiting on a few parts to make everything work together. And then the TI is getting an S54 as well, NA. So that will be our fun car with like another 100 horsepower more than it had previously.
Sick. Final question from Silas Gissendaner.
And he deserves a reggae horn.
How was the experience of driving the RX-8 for Bergenholtz, and did you want to drive that car more?
Yeah, I would have loved to drive that car more. We drove the second half of 2012 in it. Working with Ron was phenomenal. He's an awesome crew chief and builds an awesome car. That car was a super emotional car to drive because the motor set up with the 3-rotor and the sounds and the chassis being one of the first like real prepped chassis I had ever driven. So yeah, I would have loved to continue driving that car. It's actually for sale right now too for only like $50,000 with a spare car and all of the stuff. And I bet you the harness in that car, the harness in ECU is probably worth $50,000. So it's a really good deal if someone's looking for a car.
Oh yeah, man. Well, we appreciate you and Girl Chelsea spending so much time with us in this McDonald's parking lot. Hopefully you guys get home safe and sound very soon. And yeah, if you could, if you feel like it, you can go answer the rest of the dude's questions on Instagram. Yeah. And we can't wait to see you
next
throw
week.
down some sick angles.
We'll see him in next week. Grid Life, dude.
Wait, you're going to Grid Life finally?
I am. I went last year too.
Yeah, not finally. My bad. You just weren't at the last one, were you?
I was.
Yeah, you were. Well,
I must not make an impression on you.
no, I'm just drunk the whole time.
We were party bullying. Don't
Yeah, I know we
worry.
did. No, for some reason I had in my head that you weren't at Atlanta. Were you at Atlanta?
No, he was in
I was in
Atlanta.
Atlanta last year, not the year before though.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. That was.
That's the one. But last year was definitely wilder than the year before.
The thing
Yeah,
is,
definitely. All right.
not
well, we'll
remember
talk
things
all
about Grid Life.
and
It's
all that
okay
stuff,
because
But what?
no, not remember things about Grid Life. It's okay because it's all a blur.
Yeah.
It's pretty common.
Yeah.
All right,
All right,
Denofa.
Chelsea. Thanks, Chelsea's.
No problem. Thanks for watching, guys.
Yep.
Later.
Have a good one, buddy. Good driving. Have safe driving.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it, guys.
Hang up.
Go away.
Get out of here.
Big balls. Hang up on his ass.
And let's get to Tony Shamoon's other question here. stab Paco with crayon, Corey. Did you get him? Paco just immediately goes for the deep.
He just stole it. He's an animal. Paco's like a Carcarian. He's now smoking a blue crayon.
Ready? I'm gonna show it to Corey. One, two.
Yeah. Oh,
right.
Paco just almost gave himself a blue waffle.
Oh God.
Dude,
Yeah.
Corey, wash your hands. That crayon was pretty salty.
Was it? Yeah, nice.
Let's before we head out, let's talk about.
Let's talk about. Okay, Corey's involvement.
What?
Yeah, what I said. Let's talk about Corey's experience being a host, trying to stand in Lorette's very big shoes for a round. And then we'll, of course, bring up Grid Life because Grid Life is coming up next week. But Corey, tell us about your experience, bud. This is a big, new, exciting thing for you.
No, it was definitely a very cool experience. It was just so much going on. And, Lorette did a wonderful job kind of briefing me on what to expect. And a lot of it is kind of just improv and shoot from the hip and kind of go off the vibe of what's happening around. But there's definitely a few guidelines that you have to follow with working with a new camera operator. And, I had an earpiece the whole time. Lorette's in the chat right now.
Mm-hmm.
You had an earpiece, which you could hear Jared, but you actually don't get to see any of the runs. And that was, I think, one of the biggest things is I had live stream up on my phone, and usually there's about a 15 to 30 second live stream delay before it comes to the phone. So in the hot pits, when Lorette's out doing these interviews, she's only catching glimpses of battles, and then is relying on Jared Ryan's announcing as well as Jeff in the live stream giving her the information on what's happening. So that was kind of one of the biggest things to get used to. And then
it's interesting, especially at a track like that, how little drifting you get to actually watch and how little Lorette sees when she's reporting.
Oh, dude, I if I were to put in numbers, and Lorette would probably back me up on this, she only seen a total of 8 to 10 battles the whole year so far in her spot. And that's because I saw one battle, so one battle over 7 previous battles she probably saw.
I'm trying to think, are there really any tracks where you can see the track from the pits?
Well, maybe New Jersey, she might have an advantage if she catches them coming off track. But outside of that, in the hot pits, I don't think there's really any. But that's it. And the other thing is Lorette gets a new camera guy every event. So when you work with a new camera guy, you literally have to train him within.
You had the newest of the new.
Yeah,
fresh.
Yeah, so new camera guy, new track, which that was kind of. It was a big track too. It was a golf cart because your little chimichanga legs wouldn't have made it. Yeah, I had a golf cart, dude. I would have been roly-polying everywhere. I would just lay down and rolled.
That would have been great.
That would have been awesome.
You didn't follow my advice though, which was to leave a memorable sign-off mark. You gotta keep it sexy if you're gonna get paid, and you didn't kiss every driver on the cheek on the way out.
That was highly disappointed.
Well,
I thought we had an arrangement.
No. Listen.
We had a deal.
So here was the plan: is I was supposed to go on the front straight away and interview the winner, which was I was going to interview Osbo.
Yeah.
And
you gotta kiss him in the mouth.
Yeah, but I was gonna bend him over and just lay a big old smacker on him.
You did it.
But what I was gonna do was I was going to go down there and I was gonna ask Osbo his 2 questions, which one was I had it written down, but it was something like now he's 36 points behind James Dean. So now the championship battle is getting that much closer. Going into Texas, what type of Osbo should we be seeing? I think we're going to be seeing an Osbo that much more aggressive. He's in the hunt.
Yeah, he's in the hunt now. So I said just during the halftime show is if Osbo doesn't win this, it's pretty much a certain James Dean championship. And Osbo went and won it, and James Dean got knocked out by his little baby brother boyfriend, Peter, in 8, was it? So yeah, as usual, circumstances are getting crazy as the year gets closer to the end, and maybe they'll get even crazier in Texas. They have in the past. Maybe Osbo and James will get knocked out in 32, and whoever is in 3rd, 4th, 5th will excel further. Right now, it does seem to be an Osbo and Dean race.
And that's the other thing too is I bet the amount of information that Lorette gets from the drivers is actually really impressive on as far as them giving her information on actually what's going on in the pits, and especially when somebody comes off a battle and wins, you go over there and talk to them, hey, how's everything going? They'll give you an exact detailed breakdown on what is happening to their car. So she's in a position that she knows exactly what's going on in the pits, which, once again, that was something that I've never really done before as far as getting that type of information, but everybody was super cool with that. But anyways, going back to the final question, my sign off, I was going to ask Osbo a question, but the live stream didn't make it down on the front straight. But I was going to send it off back to you, Jared. And I wanted to send it off that way. And I was going to do it just as aggressive, but I didn't have the live stream because I was going to do something at the very end for the final.
And kiss him.
Yep.
Well, I think the thing that
Mouth kiss, Osbo.
I really want to say about it all is that I can't wait to have the rep back.
Yeah, no, me too. No, definitely.
I'm kidding. You did really awesome. You're actually hard on yourself. You're like, it's a learning experience and all that, but you did great, man. It was really
Thanks,
exciting
Samuel.
to see you out there.
Yeah.
I was just hoping just for the comedic value that like Ryan was going to throw at you and here we have Corey Hosford for the first time filling in for Lorette today, Corey, and then you were just going to sit there like,
Oh.
The whole
Well, I'll tell you the one thing I didn't like the most is, so I don't see what I look like on camera standing next to some of these guys.
it wasn't good.
you're a gazelle.
I look like
You're a big guy.
I look like a giant ogre, and I remember watching the replay standing next to
Next to
Dirk
Dirk
Stratton,
Stratton.
and I roll
'Cause
back.
Dirk is probably we were talking about it after the show. He's probably the littlest. He's a cute little boy. He's
probably
he's a special boy.
he's 6'5",
built like a jockey.
7". He's just tiny but mighty. This is
Built like a jockey.
a wheeled Corvette midget. And so, anyways, I go interview Dirk, and then cool. And so I have to roll up, drop the video off, and usually within 3 minutes they play it. So I don't have another interview for another 5 minutes or so. So I sit there and I'm watching the jumbotron, and Jared's like, and we best it down to Corey Houser, and I look at it, and I'm like 3/4 of the screen, and Dirk is this little tiny guy, and I'm like, God damn it! I just look like a giant monster standing next to all these. Even Gucci, I walked up to Gucci, I'm like, dude, you look like a cardboard cutout. Like,
Yeah. And then Andy Luck, I don't know how he got it right after it happened. Andy Luck, FD staff, the sweetheart of Formula Drift, he took a screen cap of you sticking your mic too close to Osbo's mouth, and he just has a sheer look of disgust.
Yeah,
And I know it was just like a random screen cap, and he wasn't actually disgusted or dismayed in any way, but it was just a beautiful, potentially photoshoppable image that I'm going to be playing with when I have some time.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing is, especially when I meet a bunch of new people off Driftcast for the first time, they always look at me like, "Oh my God, you're this giant," and I had a couple people, and so maybe that's a different perspective. I'm a large guy, Sam. Okay, I'm a large guy. I get it.
You had to have a 3XL FD shirt.
Yeah.
You're just big boned, Corey.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing is, like, once again, I'm like 6'4", and I'm standing next to Dirk, who's 5'6". And I'm like 230 pounds, and Dirk's probably 140.
230. You're being modest.
No, I'm 230 right now.
You were 180 pounds of spaghetti when I interviewed you, and now you're 230 pounds of spaghetti with a little piece of hot dog
meat,
chopped
yeah,
up.
well, that's the thing is we added the hot dog, and that was about 30 pounds of hot dog.
Yeah, it was a 30-pound hot dog.
So yeah, so that was probably one of my biggest things that I have to figure out how to position myself, not to make these guys look like little tiny men.
Well, you did all in all a very good job, and I'm proud of you, little baby boy.
We
Thanks.
actually have a quick super chat question. This one's for you, Corey.
Oh,
From Spencer Richards. So why you didn't drive in St. Louis?
Do the grammar right, Paco. You don't need to do it Mexican style.
Why didn't Corey drive FDSTL?
Thank you.
So that once again, this is kind of going back to the original idea of when we first finished the boss with the 2J in it, and it's going back to I just have to be real with myself, and it was I don't have enough time with the new setup to be 100% comfortable.
Not to mention you don't even have the car here in Phoenix.
No,
so you don't have the practice. And
So
the
after
only
Grid
test
Life-
you've ever done is at Grid Life last
right,
year.
and that was
Or not last year,
this
last
year.
round, excuse me.
And that was more
Midwest.
so of and just to shake it down and drive a 2J for the first time, which I'm gonna have to get used to. And I'm okay to say going out there and looking at the level of competition right now with these guys, even in Pro 2 and Pro 1, is they have plenty of time in their car. They have a well-oiled machine behind them operating their team. They have a strategy. Right now, as I'm just kind of getting through the building phase of growing my team, and obviously Keith Johnson is still a huge part of the team. And
As it sits right now,
it
like Dylan
takes-
Hughes and Travis Reeder would spank your buns.
Yeah, well, because they have everything, and it's the team.
Well, they just have focus and time on that, and they
And that
have
as well.
experience behind the wheel, and I think that, and this is maybe a good transition to it, is that you have so many other things going on, and you really didn't want to break your car for Grid Life, because that is kind of where your heart is, and that's where our hearts are. That's where our hearts and our bodies and our brains
And that's the thing.
Not to mention, when was the last time you actually tandem with anybody?
It's probably been almost 8 months to a year.
So
Yeah.
And just for fun, probably.
Yeah, and it was just for fun. It was
Yeah,
like
so-
going out and playing in a in a parking lot, which I'm 100% comfortable. But once again, it's a different level.
Yeah.
For me, I go back. Okay, I look at Chelsea and I go back to the Mad Mike, and the thing that gets me excited about drifting is getting other people excited about drifting, and that's I feel has been my calling to the sport. Is I may have not had the most successful career as a driver in Formula D, but what I've learned from it about myself is that my true excitement doesn't always come from winning. It's coming from entertaining and driving in front of people and getting them excited. So these other events that are popping up with Grid Lifes and even Formula D, obviously I'm going to come back to Formula D when everything is lined up and ready. But it's just going out there and having a good time and getting people excited about drifting as a whole. That is my goal, is to get more people excited about it, get people involved with it, give people an opportunity with it. We've been doing so many fun things with Formula Drift and Nexon and Forza and Grid Lifes and doing announcing at these events. And, now people are asking us to go to LS Fest and announce. It's like that stuff is what fuels me to also go out there and drive, but also bring a different side of what we do into it. So,
And that's what pay for the hot dogs.
that's what pays for that 130-pound hot dog.
Yeah.
But
That'd be a big hot dog.
yeah, no. So that's kind of like the idea of why I wasn't in St. Louis is I just need to be more ready. That's it.
Yeah.
And
And-
because
And we'll see.
yeah,
We have to make a training montage.
we do have to make a training montage.
Well, I already have the idea, and I had the idea years ago for Corey coming back to FD, and then I kind of never did it. I might steal it now when I inevitably come back to my series, but we'll see. We'll come up with a good training idea.
Yeah, no, I think we're gonna do a Drift Idiot Hosford reunion tour.
Yeah, all the hits.
All the hits. Also,
All the good ones.
Speaking of media and content and fun stuff, Grid Life.
We're going to Grid Life.
Yeah,
that was
Grid
the
Life. Grid
next
Life is
big
next week.
announcement.
And also, as we're talking about this, I just posted Big Balls. I posted to the Maximum Driftcast group our conversation, a picture that our media bro Kyle Cross took of Osbo on the podium, and it's congratulations, Freddie. It's a very passionate win for you, and this is a very passionate photo. And as we're pulling that up, yeah, Grid Life. This is the third or the fourth Grid Life South now. Paco, do you remember?
This is
number
going to
three?
be our third,
Yeah,
our third Atlanta.
First year was Andrew WK. Last year was Waka. This year, this actually, I know Killer Mike's not the headliner, but they have Killer Mike around the jewels. I know that we're all really
Yeah, they
excited
just
for
announced today Killer Mike is gonna be one of the actors. I'm super pumped for that.
I know, me too.
He's the
I'm
best.
pulling up the other bands right now, and actually, Chris Stewart and I and Paco played a little bit of pinball in St. Louis after the event, and that was a lot of fun. But yeah, I'm gonna pull up the rest of the artist list right now. But as we've said on the show multiple times, it is the best events of the year. And if we weren't announcing drifting, we would go just to party and to drive and to hang out with drivers. And yeah, but Paco and I are going to be announcing. Corey's going to be doing his often talked about, rarely seen driving his car. And it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Killing it at that track. I'm excited to see Corey
Which
drift.
How many times until you slam into the kitty litter, Corey?
Paco, I hope none, so don't jinx me. No, but Osbo's going to be there.
Oh, that's
Tanner
right.
Faust
That's
is going to
special.
be there. Turek's
Yep.
going to be there. Forsberg's going to be there. I already talked. I
Vaughn's
pulled
gonna be
Osbo.
there. Chelsea's not going to be there.
No,
I think
Chelsea will
he's
be there,
never
Vaughn
been to- He's never been to an event before.
Um,
But we're going to have Dye. You're going to have Ryan Literal. You're going to have Corey Hosford. I don't know why he's on the list. George Kirkadopoulos and Riley Sexsmith, my little baby Riley.
And I just
I hope
I
that's
just saw on the list one more driver.
I'm going to kiss your forehead right on the forehead. Yeah, that makes sense. Kiss
Yeah.
you right on the forehead when I see you, Riley.
And Pat Gooden.
is he driving?
He's not.
He's in the list.
He's on the list.
I think they took him off the list.
Oh no.
Poor guy.
No, not even joking.
No,
I
he's
hope he
there.
is.
Yeah, there it is. Pat Gooden.
Hey.
Where? Which list are you looking at?
Is the list? Let me.
Oh, and Ryan Literal. I didn't see it. The one on the Grid Life webpage says Turk, Faust, Osbo, Forsberg, Gittin Jr., Dye, Chelsea, Literal, Hosford, George.
I'm looking at this one, Sam.
Moore. I don't know. Go to the website.
Yeah,
Pat,
no,
I hope you're not there for your own sake because I'm gonna beat the buns off you. That guy and I are way overdue for a fist fight.
For a fist fight,
I
can't
also,
wait.
do you know what? Since Osbo's going, I talked to Osbo at St. Louis.
yeah.
And I'm like, hey, buddy. And he's like, what's up? I'm like, you're going to Great Life? He's like, yeah. I was
Yeah.
like, so what are we going to be doing some runs? And he's like, you bet your buns.
Yeah, because you guys are
Yeah.
the
We're going to go do some party. We're going to do some
Rockstar cars.
party trains.
I want to see. I
And
want to
like-
see.
And then I was like, "You're gonna go to Grid Life?" He's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "You ready to do some belly shots?" And he's like, "Yeah, I guess."
Also, I don't know if you guys saw this, but T-Pain got a drift car.
Oh, that's okay.
Is
So,
he gonna? I hope he's there.
T-Pain got a drift car.
do you have an insight on that?
I don't have an insight other than we've been messaging a lot.
Oh, okay. I was just,
Not a big deal.
And
Not a big
me,
deal.
me and T-Pain have became friends officially, and
friends.
my new name is C-Pain. So C-Pain hangs out with T-Pain, and we started a drift team, and our drift team is Team Pain.
Team Pain.
So he might get out in the boss. I don't know. We've been messaging back and forth, me and my boy from Team Pain, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see what goes down with that. But
Well, I mean, I don't know if you knew, but Sam and I are like best buds
Yeah,
with,
we're gonna
with,
form
with
a
Killer
drift team.
Mike.
what?
So while you're
Yeah.
sliding with Team Pain,
Dude.
Killer Mike is gonna be emceeing with Sam and I.
That's right. You guys.
Yeah.
We're
You
gonna
guys,
be throwing some mad
Yeah.
bars
Yeah.
on the mics
You guys are.
while you're
you guys can't make that booty work, and you can't drop. You're not thicker than a Snicker. So
Well, you heard me drop some fat lines. Let's see if Killer Mike can keep up with me.
that's gonna be tough because you might take that main stage
We-
from him,
we-
and then you'll lose a friend.
I think we should do that. We
Yeah.
should have like rap battles.
Rap battle between me and Killer
between you
Mike.
and Killer Mike while
it's gonna
you guys
happen.
are sliding. I just
I
do a
think it's
little bit
gonna
of
happen.
beatboxing. As everybody knows, I'm like the master of beatboxing.
I think it's gonna be
Uh,
a close call, but Killer Sam is gonna be in the
Yeah.
his house. Oh, it feels so bad to say.
Killer Sam.
These are some of the other bands there. Slander is headlining. I listened to them a little bit. Stuart sent me one of their sets, and there's a lot of really cool stuff in there. Even for an old guy like me, but I like a lot of EDM. Like that's mostly what I listen to, anyways. And he definitely hits those. Hits. Joyride, Killer Mike, as we just said, the Soul Rebels, featuring special guest Currency. The S is spelled with a $sign. Then
Sweet.
Tokyo Machine, So Down, Kill Frazee. He's been at a bunch of the Grid Lights before. It's some sick ass drumming. Dogma, DJ X Cape. He wears a cape. Danny Neville, if you remember, that's actually Neville Longbottom from Harry Potter. He's going to be out there. Raw, that's the sushi place. I think they're going to be surfing sushi off of Corey's naked body. That's going to be weird.
Yep.
Mantis, I think that's just actually a praying mantis that they have in a fish tank. It's kind of not that entertaining.
Pet the mantis.
He dances. Kevin Flum, he's just someone from high school. And then Drink Your Water, which is
You have to
a
stay
guy who just
hydrated.
he's just a guy that goes around finishing off everyone's half-empty waters. He's super hydrated. Yep. You're welcome, Chris Stewart. Did I promote your event good? He doesn't have time to listen to the podcast. Fuck you, Chris Stewart. You're never going to listen to
He's
this.
never listening.
Just
Oh my
kidding.
God,
I
he's
love you.
texting us right now.
Oh,
No,
God. He's
Take
like,
that
you guys
back."
are uninvited.
he just deleted the post. Sam, what have you done?
No, no.
Killer Mike.
Yeah, Killer Mike. all the bands that is dropping off the list right now. Like, oh, cool. Thanks, Sam, for the terrible
You
jokes.
ruined it. You ruined it.
Lorette has asked that I end the show with a freestyle.
Ooh.
Do we want to
course.
thank our Patreons?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
actually,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
you should thank the Patreons in a mad hip hop style. You ready,
Okay.
Sam?
Yeah. Let's thank all the people.
You ready?
Matt
You
Hick.
ready, Corey?
I'll give it a swing. I haven't warmed up the pipes very much.
Here's
but
here's the thing. Sam does the Patreons, then you do the.
Well, don't confine my art, dude. Just let me hit my marks.
All right, here comes the beat.
Sam, you just throw it, and then if there's something I could pick up, I'll pick it up when you throw it down.
This is some deep beat. All right.
Logan says my rap name should be Murder Mark. No, my rap name's actually I already got one.
No,
you
you
ready
sh-
for it?
Oh, you have one already?
Yeah. All right, turn. Let me get some more. The beat in my cans.
You need more snare. You need more
Can I
snare.
get a little more snare?
All right, here
You
it goes.
have some nice cans. Go ahead, Sam.
In the eyes of the angel.
I don't know if this is the beat.
Oh, sorry, wrong track.
That's
Hold
okay,
one
that's okay,
second.
okay, that's all right. Just
Turn
turn the
tape
CD over.
around. Yeah, let's turn it. All right. Boom, 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 boom.
Skid
All right.
Mark Sam.
Here we
Hit
go.
it.
My name is Papa Squat, and I'm here to say I really like the Patreons today. They're giving us money for our show. AM Intakes knows the flow. I'm talking about airflow for you and me. Proven plus 10 HP. And next entire on fire, lighten up the smoke. You liar, Corey. What else we got? I know there's some sponsors that hit the spot.
Can't forget Motegi wheels, as they're the ones that have the real deal. Put them on your car, do a burn out, stand next to your friends, and they'll probably all shout. Sam, thanks for being a part of the Driftcast. Paco, not so much, big balls. Thank you for the ones and twos. Next thing we do, we send you in the blues. That's all I got right now.
I want to thank y'all for listening today. Chelsea Denofa, even though he's okay. And that's all I got.
Wow.
That was really good.
No, that was really nice. Did you write that one down, Sam?
Yeah, I've been writing it down as I sing it. I'm that talented.
3 years ago, I was just waiting for that moment.
All right,
boys.
I think we covered it.
Yep.
Good. I'm good. I'll see you guys next week.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody for tuning.
We might have a very special guest. We might not. Who knows? And then
We
we'll
do have a very
Driftcast or Good
special
Life.
show coming. So
Is it lined up for this next week,
is it?
Corey?
It might be lined up next week.
We'll
All
give,
right, cool.
we'll give you guys
we'll
some
update you guys
updates.
shortly. We don't want to make promises we can't abide by, but we'll see you next week. Not sure what day yet, but then we'll see you at Grid Life. If you're anywhere near Atlanta, I'm talking like thousands of miles, just get over there. Grid Life, best event of the year.
Perfecto. Everybody have a good night. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you at Great Life and next week, and we'll see you in many other places. Goodbye. Good night.
Good night.
Adios.
Good night.
The end.